Welcome to EventUp, the place where people enthusiastic about events stay in the know on the latest trends within the events industry. Live, hybrid, and virtual experiences. From virtual events to conferences, award galas, and everything in between. Here's your host, Amanda Ma.
Welcome, you guys, for EventUp. We're so excited. Today, we have another awesome episode of EventUp. And now I get to spotlight two powerhouse professionals who I have known for a while. And they are shaping what excellence look like in venue operations, catering sales, and large-scale event execution. Joining us are two leaders who operate at the intersection of strategy, service, and execution. We have Tricia Galloway, who is the Director of Catering Sales with Oakview Group at the Pasadena Convention Center, and Gianna Wilkins from the Pasadena Convention Center, a seasoned venue operations leader focused on logistics and facility excellence. Together, the two of them offer essential perspective, catering strategy, and convention service execution. If you ever wonder what brands get right and wrong when planning events, this is an episode for you. Welcome to the show. And we're
Thank
also
you.
early. I just want to say some backstory. This really started because the three of us were having lunch together, just catching up about our industry. And then we
Yes.
started talking about you guys should be on the event episode. So here you are. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I love it. They say they've been practicing all day, so let's see how they do.
Trying to
All
sing our
right. So,
answers.
the three of us, when we get together, we talk shop a lot as
Yes.
we, a lot. I would love to just kind of kick off today's conversation. Like, how are brands using events today as part of their overall marketing strategy?
So from a venue standpoint, being here at the convention center, we pretty much average about 200 events a year that our team manages. So we work with clients. I think the main thing is kind of seeing how they can vary and be unique. I think a lot of times meeting planners or event marketing teams will utilize very similar setups to the structure of an event. So I think kind of innovating those activations, whether it's interactives with activities for conference attendees, branding opportunities, kind of thinking outside the box when it comes to programming, when it comes to branding the facility, giveaways, motivating their attendees to register. There's so many different avenues, but I think it just varies on budget as well. To be candid, some events are able to take a small budget and really maximize spending and focus on what their market is and what they're looking to accomplish with their attendees and their niche market. Whereas there's others that have a budget that's unlimited,
Right.
and they're able to do amazing things when it comes to branding in the building. So it just varies.
Yeah. And I think from a catering standpoint, too, it's actually an opportunity for clients to be creative with food and beverage. So we've actually seen a more requests for bringing in different types of activations, like Gianna mentioned, different coffee carts that can do different things. Or I think we have a robotics event that's coming in. They asked, can we bring in like a robotic arm to come serve coffee? So really using their background on what their association or what their company represents and tying that into food and beverage. So for me, it's an opportunity to be more creative in what I do and, getting a budget. How can we make this beautiful? How can we brand certain food items? So it's an opportunity for me, myself, and for our executive chef to be creative.
I love that. Especially, I love it when you said, Gianna, you mentioned when there's unlimited budget, right? I think
Yes.
we always love a budget range just
Yep.
to really understand. And
Yeah.
I know we have done several events at the Pasadena Convention Center, so it's always nice to know, like,
Right.
we work together as a team and partners to
Mhm.
see what we can do and really bring that experience to life for the clients. How about in terms of like what planning choices have the biggest impact that you're seeing from your perspective? Right, Tricia, I know you recently hosted the OVGGM Summit at the Pasadena
Right.
Convention Center. What did that experience enforce for you about the planning decision that truly, really deliver that guest impact?
Yeah, and I think hosting an event like this is very impactful because it's all of your peers that are attending. So you have all these different venue managers. We had all the GMs from all of our different accounts, from arenas to other convention centers, even like some universities as well, in attendance. So it was really having the opportunity to work with all of our regional chefs and how we can think outside the box. What is that wow moment, right? And so we had a lot of, we actually had a culinary showcase that Gianna actually helped us out as well on using different spaces at the convention center, things that we've never done before, kind of reimagining the space that we have and creating these different stations where our guests can go and try different wow moments from each individual chef. And it was actually a competition. So it encouraged them to really be creative and use their imagination and come up with some really great things to try. And the great thing for us being here at the venue is now we can implement those things with our clients moving forward. So it's great ideas to have.
That's awesome. And your venue has hosted so many fantastic events from like hosted brands. I mean, like In and Out, America's
Mm.
Got Talent, right? Am I saying those right? Like America,
Yes.
oh my God, is that the one?
Yes.
I would see all the lines. So it's definitely some of the greatest, funnest brand too. How about in terms of like the design itself? And I know we also talk about this a lot. Like, how do you guys design events that really feel human rather than just like so transactional, right? Like come to an event and like leave.
I mean, I think from a venue perspective, from a event management perspective, I think it also stems from just having that relationship with your client, starting those conversations early on, understanding what the overall goal of that event is and what the impact is meant to be, and how as a venue we can partner with you to make that come to fruition, so to speak. So I think being impactful, again, we're the event management side, but we're part of that. And we want to make sure that the meeting planner, the event planner, and their client is also happy with the services that we're providing and the collaboration that we can give. So I think it kind of stems from our end of just having those relationships and being passionate in working with those meeting planners and those event planners. And when you have that passion, I think that motivates our other service team members and other service providers to also share that feeling of, hey, let's execute, let's give 120%. What do we got to do to step it up so everyone can have an amazing time?
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think like it's interesting because we work with so many different types of meeting planners and so many different types of events. So sometimes they have these grand ideas, but I think it really is both of our jobs to kind of guide them in the right direction, because we want to set our clients up for success. Like
Right.
we want to ensure that we can execute their vision, right? So it is a lot of compromise and discussion of how to work together on both teams to provide what clients are looking for.
Yeah. I mean, I love working with you guys. You guys have such an amazing team. I still remember, like, especially with convention center, I think the standard thought may sometimes be, oh, it's such a boring space, right?
Yeah.
Very concrete, but it's not. I think it's a empty
Blank
space
slate.
in the sense that
Very
you
blank
could,
slate. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. That
Versatile
you could
and
really do anything. And that
Mhm.
just kind of reminded me as we chatted about this too. Like we actually, the three of us, we like transformed the space into like Dr. Seuss, right?
Yes,
So
I
like
remember.
Gianna's team, like we all dreamed together, and then Tricia team like really infused all that fun moments into food, like
Yeah.
interpret
right.
that differently as well. So that was really fun.
Yes.
Awesome. And then how about in terms of like what details do you think the guests notice during an event? And then what are some that even brands sometimes overlook as well?
I think from my end, it's always, customer service on our end. Everything starts with the first moment somebody, whether it's pulling into the parking structure or stepping onto our property for whatever and whichever event that they're here for. Sometimes it's not just one event going on in the building, since we do have such versatile, flexible space here at the venue. So it starts at the front of house, right? So it's making sure that our teams know, like, the moment people come in and we greet them, we welcome them, we provide them instructions on where to go, how to get there. So I think that's really important in a sense of, I am only as good as my team in front of me. No one knows sometimes that I'm behind closed doors dealing with other challenges that may arise or putting out fires, so to speak, with things that might pop up. So I rely on that front of house. I rely on my team to support the vision of the event and to provide that customer service.
Yeah, I actually think all of our clients are very
Yes.
very detail oriented,
Yes.
which is great. And we want to hold that level of service as well.
Mhm.
So, like Gianna mentioned, it is a lot of relying on your frontline staff because those are the people that work with the clients directly during the event. So it kind of goes from like us working with the client, and then on show day, it gets turned over to
Yeah.
the operations side of things. So, but yeah, like details such as what if you have tray pass appetizers, what is that going to be served in? If it's a gala, it has to be appropriate for people in ball gowns or someone
Right.
who's dressed up. So you got to think about all those little details to make it the most smooth for the guests that are attending.
Yeah, and I think every step along the way has to be so thoughtful, right?
Mhm.
Like you guys say, depending on the type of brand, type of people that are coming. I remember
Right.
there's one group we work with, a lot of them were vegetarian. So the menu would be so
Mhm.
different compared to like the typical ones that we're used to also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think back in the day, we used to hold the
Celiac Disease Foundation.
foundation. And so that's like, again, being creative and coming up with an entire menu that's gluten free. The nice thing about working here is there's nothing that we can't do, which is awesome. And so, again, having that creativity to create different menus, things that people don't might not get at a restaurant or at a different venue is really nice to have.
Well, and also then having those clients trust
Yeah,
that you're
right.
and giving you the
Right.
leeway to have creativity, right? Because again, going back to vision and
Yeah.
impactfulness and what the design is for the event, it's trusting us with that process and trusting that we're going to execute based on that vision.
Mhm.
So I think it also kind of aligns with that
Yeah,
as well.
for sure.
That's perfect segue into my next question. Like in terms of
Awesome.
how are you guys seeing also brands like really stay creative, right? While working with real budget, I think everybody's tightening their purse a little
Mhm.
bit, but like the
Mhm.
creativity can still shine through. So what are you guys seeing out there?
From an event management standpoint, with us and our conferences, I will say a majority of them are very standard with their setups, with keynotes, breakout sessions, things
Right.
like that. I did have an event a while back that did something creative where their keynote session had one large main stage and it was divisible with 4 sections. And they actually did like a silent disco component for the
Hmm.
keynote sessions. So they actually had 4 different keynote speakers on stage at the same time, and each quadrant of the ballroom was set up in different color schemes. So there was an orange section, a red section, a blue, a yellow. So based on what keynote you wanted to go to, you would go into that designated color, put on your silent disco headphones, and you would listen to that speaker. So that was really cool because I had never seen that before, and it was unique, it was different, and it gave an opportunity to kind of maximize the conference schedule because you had 4 presentations going on at one time. So that's one of the coolest things I've seen from a conference component. But yeah, I think it just depends on, unfortunately, budget. But that would probably be the most unique thing from a conference standpoint that I've seen.
Yeah, I would say for us, we're always dealing with different types of budgets. But I want to talk a little bit more of the creative side. Since I've been back since July, we've done quite a few trade shows
Mhm.
and those types of events where we run concession stands. And you would think like concessions is like your typical hot dog, pizza, those types of things. But we're really trying to be creative and come up with food items that pertain to the demographic of the people attending the show. So, like, for example, Anime Expo was here last year. And so we did fun things like spam the subies, different types of Japanese beverages, things like that. So, not necessarily like working within a client's budget, but in the sense of thinking what would sell for the attendees. So that's kind of the creative thing that we've gotten to do.
I love it. I think those are such interesting experience share. I can already imagine like I guess the all the mini station and then when Gianna was mentioning about how the room is split up.
Yeah, that's
Like,
cool.
wow, that must look so cool with like the different lights and
Yeah,
whatnot.
it's
And
really
it's
cool.
true, right? Especially now, like small changes in food and layout, it really helped improve the flow. in terms
Right.
of the
And the guest
event. So,
And
experience
guest
too. Yeah.
experience.
guest
And
Right.
experience. Yeah.
they can walk away saying it wasn't just a regular conference. Like this is the big takeaway. This is the coolest thing. We had, cookies with dinosaurs on them, or,
Yeah. And I think since we have so many repeat events,
yeah.
we don't want to do the same thing every year, right? Because you're trying to get people to come back. So I
Yeah.
mean, like we've had galas that come back year after year, and it's really an opportunity to be like, what can we do different? And the cool thing is that each year usually it's a different theme. So we really have the chance to think outside the box.
Let's try some square banquet
Yeah.
tables instead of round. Let's
Switch it up.
Let's switch it up. Let's do alternate.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that clients appreciate that feedback and are willing to jump on board and see what that looks like, it's really amazing.
But that's the nice thing
Especially-
about working here is there's no constraints really, because you have the space to do different things.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I still remember when we did the popsicle for the women's conference. That was such a big hit, you guys. You remember?
Yeah.
And I still remember that all the attendees were like, "Thank you. This is like so refreshing." So, and it's just popsicles, but it's just something
yeah,
different.
exactly.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
It's
so
the
awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tricia. I would love to go to a conference or expo that have spam matsubi. I'm like,
Right.
so
Oh man,
tired of
it's
cooking.
flying off the shelf.
That sounds delicious. I'm so
Mhm.
glad it's not lunchtime right now. In terms of like planning, right? We get this question a lot as well. I'm sure you guys get it too. Like, how early should catering and convention service team be involved in the event planning?
I will go first.
Yeah.
So for us, as soon as possible is always better. Event managers here, once it goes contract issued, the event managers will reach out to their client. But I do recommend just reaching out first as a preliminary phone call, not just an email, and kind of having the conversation of, again, expectations, what you're looking to do, reviewing the contracted space, how it benefits you, what are some SOPs, what are the policies we need to keep in mind while we plan. And so when that happens, and then it's just kind of sending us the specifications of the conference, what kind of setups do you want so we could produce diagrams for you to review. Sometimes people forget that they have the grand ideas and it's us kind of minimizing like, hey, this room only holds this amount of people. Let me tell you 6 weeks in advance as opposed to 2 weeks in advance. As we say here, it's like, be proactive, not reactive. So the earlier we can work with a client on getting those specifications, getting those details, I feel like the process becomes more seamless for on-site execution as well. And it also gives the meeting planner or the event planner time to adjust accordingly, because sometimes you guys have your own clients that you have to adhere to and talk to and communicate with, and you have your own meetings. So we're here to support you, and we will take specs in any form so that we can get you what you need in a timely manner. And again, it helps with budgets as well. When you get into convention centers, we get ancillary fees associated with events. So again, giving us the opportunity to prepare those for you in a timely manner. So again, we're not 2 weeks out from an event or a week out, and now you're getting a bill that is a bit of a shock.
Right.
So communication is super key. And I think that preliminary conversation, whether it's a Zoom call or a virtual or even a phone call, it's super key to getting us to where we need to be.
Yeah, and I think some of those conversations even happen before contracts are signed too, because we obviously don't want to sell something that isn't obtainable. And so even as catering director or manager, I like to be included in those conversations before the contract goes out, just to make sure like this is something that we can provide, or this is something logistically that can be executed, right? So, but yeah, typically it's the same process. Once the contract is definite, then I will reach out and send out our catering menus, and then just ask for what their vision is and have that conversation of what they're looking for, what their ideas are, and go from there.
Love that. Anything that's like definitely a no, that's like off limits, like drone or
So
fireworks.
for our convention center, drones are not permitted on the interior of our building. Helium balloons. Sometimes we do have to remind everybody about helium balloons. So there are some nuances, and that's why it's important to review those policies and procedures from the sales team to the event manager. We send out that information, but to be candid, oftentimes people don't read that information that's provided, and it's understandable. We understand that happens. So it's the event manager's role to kind of guide the client on hey, we're all about supporting the vision. If we can't do XYZ, how can we make ABC happen for you? What can we do? Where can we compromise and say, yeah, you really want this in the building? I can't do that, but we can maybe get fire department involved and maybe we can do XYZ instead. So it's really just a collaboration. But I think when you have those conversations early on, the clients and the meeting planners, the event planners, they understand that, again, long-term goal is we want your event to be successful, and we'll do everything we can to make that vision come to life. But there's also parameters in place for a reason, from whether it's a safety security standpoint or a building rule or requirement. So it's imperative to have those conversations early on.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's always a no, but we can do this.
However,
I think from the catering side, we do get a lot of requests, especially recently with outside food and beverage. And since we're the exclusive provider here, it's always the conversation of why you can't bring something in, or actually working with those vendors and allowing that to happen with buyout fees. And that's been happening a lot more recently, because I think that's part of the recent trend of, especially those trade shows, of bringing in different food vendors, different beverage vendors. So it's more of a partnership these days of working with different types of food and beverage vendors that can bring different types of food in.
right. And then I think it's also from Tricia's role as the director of catering sales, and my event management team is figuring out how can we also work with her on the discussion she's having. So then there's that partnership internally of, Tricia may come to an event manager, say, the client would like to do XYZ, 3 food trucks. How can we make this happen? Is this feasible? So there is that internal communication going on, so where I feel like it's very collaborative, again, in order to partner to make sure that the vision comes to life for the client.
That's amazing.
Within parameters.
Within parameter. I love that.
Yes,
No,
always within
but
parameters.
you guys have such great mindset. I admire that. This is your chance. What are some common misconceptions that brands have about catering or convention services that you want to debunk today?
I don't know if it's a misconception, but we oftentimes get compared to hotels.
Yes.
So for us, it's, let's say we're talking about a wedding. They just assume that it's all bundled together in a package, right? And I think that happens a lot with social events, is they think it's like a one-stop shop. But whereas here we have so many different service providers that you have to work with in order to get to the end goal, right? So I think that might be a misconception. Yeah, I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I think also, I think we deal with a lot of, we're a smaller convention center compared to, the Los Angeles Convention Center, Anaheim Convention Center. So I think for us, we get a lot of events that come from hotels, smaller venues that maybe, again, ancillary fees are not really discussed because, like Tricia was saying, it is a package deal where they're coming from. So that would probably, similar to what she said, I guess that would be the only.
Yeah, like tables and chairs are included, linens are included,
speaker water,
space rental sometimes is included, or
power,
waived. Yeah,
electrical power, things like that.
Yeah. What advice then would you give brands to better work with venues and service partner like you guys?
That's a good one.
Be transparent with what you want to do. From the start, I think.
Yes.
It's it would be helpful to have a full picture, even if it's crazy, to have a full picture of what you want to do from the beginning.
Yes.
Right?
We appreciate the candor of telling me if you want an elephant to walk through the exhibit hall, I rather know about it than find out 2 weeks before that this is something that's gonna happen. I think it's just minimizing the surprise factor. We understand that in this industry, you have to be flexible. I think everybody understands that sometimes things are out of your control, but again, just having those open conversation, that open dialogue. I can't help you come up with that vision if I don't know that's what you're trying to do. And I don't want to be that person that is a blockade for that. I'm here to help. But again, if I don't know about it, then it puts me in a position from a venue side of, well, now I'm being reactive instead of, if I would have known 6 weeks ago, we could have gone through the proper channels to make this happen. So
and I think it's vice versa too. For us to be upfront with clients too on everything so that they're not blindsided. I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. Definitely a two-way street.
Yeah.
That's such a good one, honestly, because at the end of the day, it's a partnership, right? We
Right.
always tell
Mhm.
our clients as well, like it could be a secret, a surprise for everybody else but
Yeah.
us. Like
Right.
when the elephant shows up, or 12 horses, or I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the drones, and then, all of a sudden
Right.
things happen. We're like, wait, you need to get permit for that.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Better to just ask first and verify. I think that's always the best route
Right.
to go. Yeah.
Right, right. Because we're your resource, right? Like some meeting and event planners don't come from this area. Sometimes they're from out of state. Sometimes the clients are from out of state. Sometimes they're from Northern California. Every city has different parameters
Right.
and requirements, whether it be from a law enforcement standpoint to a fire standpoint to a public health standpoint. Everybody is different. And so again, that's where we come in as those experts for you to help figure out and navigate how we can make this happen. And if it is feasible, you may not get an elephant, but maybe you can have a falcon. I don't know, so it's again working and having those conversations.
Yeah.
I love the way you think. A falcon or the
Don't get any ideas.
She's seen it all.
Don't get
Yeah,
any
she's
ideas
seen it all.
and these
I am
conferences.
getting ideas. I'm taking notes and passing them down. She say no to elephant, but falcons are okay.
As long as the public health department is
Right,
good, we're
yes.
good to go.
All right. And how about in terms of like one tip that brands can use right away for their next event at your property?
This
I say
was-
think outside the box.
yeah.
Right? I think use this facility to its advantage of being a blank slate, and it
Mhm.
can be pretty much whatever you want it to be,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you're not we have parameters, but you're not bound to a lot of the restrictions that you might have in other venues outside of a convention center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be intimidated by, oh, I don't think they're going to work with us. This is so outrageous. Again, stemming back to those communication, having that relationship. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And again, in partnering with thinking outside the box, using the space to maximize your vision and how we can help you do that. So I think that would be a key takeaway for us.
That's such a good one. I love it. Just ask her what animals you could bring in. That's fine.
We actually have done an elephant before.
Okay,
For
so
a
that
wedding.
one's okay.
Long
That
time
one's
ago
yeah.
for a wedding, Naz, our executive director, managed a wedding, and they actually had an elephant.
So
That's awesome.
you never
And there was
know.
You
one
never
event
know.
I remember. Yeah, I stopped by to check out, and you guys transformed like the entire ballroom. That was like really cool.
Yep.
I think it was like Winter Wonderland or something. It just completely looked
Yes.
different. And it
Yeah.
is such a clean slate,
Yeah,
It
which
is.
is
it really is.
It really is.
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Well, that was my last question. This is so much fun. I love it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
Oh,
thank you
great.
for
Okay.
having us.
Yeah.
This is great.
Well, I have to say, if there's one takeaway from today's episode, it is really, other than the animal facts, but the guest experience really starts long before doors open. There's so many
Yes.
people
Yes.
behind the scene, but also just like the fact that you guys are so open, right, to
Mhm.
conversation. Because you're right, there are a lot of venues out there that are very, very strict, and it's a
Right.
lot of like no, no, no. So the
Mhm.
fact that you guys are partners that are open mind, that at least will consider and is open for conversation, it's already a very refreshing start. So from early collaboration, from catering to convention services to really like all the thoughtful design choices around whether it's layout, food, and flow, all these small decisions create these big results. And so with that, Tricia and Gianna, thank you so much for sharing all your practical insights that a brand can apply immediately. And then we'll see you on the next episode of EventUp.
Thank
Great. Thank you.
you.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time on EventUp.